TG Geeks, episode 324, May 3rd, 2021. Horror filmmaker or serial killer? Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane and we're coming to you from TG Squared Studios in lovely, it's hot now, Phoenix, Arizona. It finally got hot.
It finally got hot. Summer is here.
Summer is here.
Yes. And I'm Ben Raggington, and if you hear us sniffling a lot, it's because we have been cleaning out the hellmouth.
Yes.
Also known as our studio.
Yeah. Uncovering lots of things from the stacks and piles. And
it's an archaeological dig. Who knew?
Exactly. All the dust. My God, Phoenix is so dusty.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you live in the desert.
Yep. Let's get on with it.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, in this episode, we're talking to John Berardo. He's a director of a new film that he has coming out called Initiaion. He's going to tell us about that and where he grew up and all kinds of neat stuff and how he got into filmmaking, as well as our birthday shout-outs, our featured podcast of the week, and we got some feedback and our regular shout-outs. In the second segment, we got a couple of things to talk about, as always, and the weekly recap. Did I say that right this time?
Did.
I did.
Wow.
And shout-outs are
It was a
regular.
cleaning out of the hellmouth that actually managed to break the spell.
It did. So let's get on with this episode, or the interview. And this time we welcome to our show John Berardo, who is a director of film, and he has a new film that is soon to be released, actually, later on this week, as of this podcast. Welcome, John Berardo.
Woo, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about... For those that don't know you, and obviously for our edification and for our audience,
Ooh, nice word.
Who are you? Tell us where you grew up, how you got into film, what was the exciting thing, and what you've done, and then this elevator pitch as if you're going to the top of the Empire State Building.
All right, okay. So we're on floor one. Now, I ask myself that question every day. Who am I? I think that I'm from Oklahoma. My name's John Berardo. I'm from Norman, Oklahoma, and I grew up there. It's a college town, and I have
University
the
of
greatest
Oklahoma.
Parents. Yeah, Boomer Sooner.
And
Sooner.
therein lies the similarity between you
Yes.
and my husband, because he is from Tulsa, Muskogee, actually.
Muskogee. I grew up.
Tulsa.
Oh, well.
Hey, well, and it gets even worse. I went to Oklahoma State as well. So.
Oh my God! Get out of here!
You're going to hang up right now. That's the shortest interview ever.
Interview yet. Okay.
Yeah, I went to every OU home game as a kid. I mean, not every, but like my parents, they both worked for the university, so we would make, I mean, they're to this day diehard football fans,
Right.
And even OU sports in general, not just football, but football's obviously, the sport, and it's really my mom. My mom is like the biggest sports fanatic, and my dad sort of got into it after he married her, because she's originally from Oklahoma. And so I think that a lot of people who come from Oklahoma are just sort of brought up, as you probably know, in that sort of like Southern college environment, because really it's beyond like the oil industry, it's really the business that runs that the state
Exactly.
of the colleges.
Exactly.
They dictate the businesses, they dictate the shirts that we wear, everything.
Exactly.
And so, I grew up in that, and it was a really wonderful, it was a really great place to grow up. Like, and when I say great place, I mean like my family created a really wonderful environment for me and encouraged me to be who I want to be and my best self. And that's why at 19 years old, I moved out to LA. And yeah, but let me rewind back a little bit because I'm jumping ahead a bit. So you asked like what got me into movies. So I, as a kid, always had a knack. I could draw. I could always draw. And so my parents obviously, they encouraged me to be artistic. And so I really didn't get started into movie making until after I saw the movie Scream. I saw it when I was very young, back in the Blockbuster days, at a friend's birthday party, and it literally scared the living hell out of me. Like I ended up, secretly buying behind my parents' back and watching it over and over again to really desensitize myself to it. So, right. But at the same time, I was like, it was such a fun movie that I identified with in so many ways. Just the culture of Scream, the youth culture, the characters, Sidney Prescott. I feel like, whether you're gay, straight, man, woman, anybody can identify with Sidney Prescott. We all have parents, and, that's really where her main conflict lies is her relationship with her parents. And I think that I really identify with her, and I was like, you know what, I want to make my own movies. So in 2001, I took my parents' camcorder and made my own Scream 4 with my friends over the summer. And that was my first movie I ever made. It was my first, it was the summer right before I went into high school. Wow. And then really every year since, I would just save up whatever allowance I had from a job or my parents gave me and just make my own movies. And everyone would say, well, why do you do that? And I'd be like, just because it's fun. I love doing it. And, I think because I did that, my parents, even more so supported whatever my dreams were. And so I came out to LA and didn't go to school right away. The agreement was that if I took time off, I could get in-state tuition rates and they'd be able to pay for college. Oh, cool. And I'm just so lucky that my parents were able to do that for me. So I moved out here and I actually studied theater directing at UCLA because I always knew that I wanted to be a director. Because you go to film school, like I said, I made movies at a young age, and so when you do that, you just kind of naturally learn how to make films, and you can watch a movie and learn how to make it. We're all doing it nowadays with our iPhones, and so I felt like really to be able to excel and where I wanted to go with my career, I wanted to study how to work with actors first, and then go to film school for my graduate degree, which is essentially what happened. I was able to make that happen, and I got into USC right after UCLA, and ultimately USC is the greatest film school network. Yes. There's a whole reason I got my career's where it's at is because of USC. And so 7 years later, I finally got my first feature into production, and people get to see it.
Cool.
So tell us about this feature that you've been working on.
Yes.
Initiaion, yeah. So Initiaion started as a short film when I was at USC for a class called Making Media for Social Change. And it was the very first time that they offered a class like that at USC. And the goal of the class was to make a short film where you picked a particular message or issue that created a call to action. And I knew when I was in theater school, I still made my own movies, and I was making these like post-war melodrama, like Tennessee Williams type of movies. And when I got into film school, and trust me, I was paying way too much money to rent these costumes and the lighting and everything. But there's just something about, post-war melodrama that I think every gay man identifies with. And I just loved being able to make movies like that. But when I got to film school, I was told, you're not going to make any money making those movies. And all of the movies I did make that had that 1940s, 50s flair to them, they were all very dark and scary and murderous. And so I really kind of reconnected with my love of horror in grad school and decided to use this class as an opportunity to make sort of like an homage to the movie Scream. And so I made a movie called Dem Banger, which is just an exclamation point. So it's a code term for an exclamation point because I wanted to make a digital Scream. And the movie ended up the entire class I was told by my professor, like, I see that you're making a scary movie, but I don't see the social relevance. But what I did was I wrote a story about a kid who is stalked and harassed based on the information he puts online about himself on Facebook.
Wow.
And so the movie ended up getting great response from the test audience. And so then I knew that I had something to get started, on my career with the feature with. And it just, like I said earlier, I grew up in a college town. I always knew that I wanted to make a movie in that world and really sort of dissect the more darker, insidious parts of college life that I knew about as a kid, but really were not starting to come into light until, I was, out of grad school. And we're seeing it so much more now. All of these things that have been going on for decades are now finally coming to light about, the university system.
Right.
And, that was, really important to tackle. And so just tried to write the best story we could, but yet at the same time, still stick with that homage to the 90s slasher that I identified with so much.
Right.
Well, I like also the fact that you're touching on what I think is, something that is very socially relevant. Social media has become such a big, controversial place for shaming, shall we say, and harassing,
stalking. And
I mean, because I think back to this poor young man a few years ago who got outed on Facebook, and he ended up killing himself. I don't want to turn this into a big tragic conversation, but
Tyler.
Well, it's important to address this stuff. People don't understand. Like, obviously, we're gay. We can talk about Drag Race. Like, Drag Race is the perfect example of where something comes up online and people are mean. People are mean just to be mean, and they don't need to be. It's like we live in a world where we have to use the internet to tear people down, and that's really what it's become a land for, is to make people shamed, and it's unfortunate.
It's anonymous.
Of
sorts.
But what I also like is that instead of making a documentary that talks about shaming, you decided to couch it in this horror genre, which in some ways makes the message far more digestible and approachable,
relatable.
Relatable too. I think it's a great way to actually put the message out there, because I think some of the best social justice messages are told in the guise of a fiction, and doing it in this particular way, I think, is a really strong way of doing that. So, what's the status of the movie now?
The status of it?
Yeah.
For the it's going to come out in a week. And
May 7th, correct?
Yeah, May 7th comes out in a week, and I believe on the 24th is when it hits worldwide. It's going to be available on VOD and certain theaters, select theaters. Obviously, that's kind of a wild card, just given where theater business is at right now.
Right.
But yeah, I honestly, like, my theory on that is that we have to embrace sort of how people consume media nowadays. And I was talking with, Lindsay Levanchi, the lead actress, about this last night, the co-writer, and we're just discussing like what theaters, because we still haven't been given the theater list yet, and that's just because we don't, they don't know what theaters are going to be able to even show it. Mm-hmm. And there's just I come from this school of thinking, like, I got to see this movie in a theater at a test screening a year and a half ago, so I'm really lucky that I got to experience the movie. I think every filmmaker should get to experience their movie in that setting at least once, but I am not hung up on the fact that people need to see it in that setting. I made this movie so people could watch it in their own homes, and and be able to just turn their living room on, because there is something, if you can make a relatable movie with a relatable message, as you just said, to me, your chances of making that message are so much more impactful inside somebody's home versus them going to an actual screen to see it.
Right.
And so I think that we have to make movies that way.
Yeah, that's how you experience Scream. So, why not?
Mm-hmm. Well, but that's
interesting. Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting point that you just made, because I know that there is some argument to be said that movies are a communal experience. I mean, I've seen some movies that are far more fun in a theater as opposed to watching them at home.
Yeah, there was one comes to mind. We're friends with Miguel Rodriguez.
Miguel Rodriguez in San Diego.
Horrible Imaginings Film Festival in San Diego. And we were down there covering that thing. And the last film of the festival a couple of years ago was The Greasy Strangler.
Oh, my God.
And that, oh my God, I don't know if you've seen that, but it is.
I haven't, no, but the title.
Oh my God.
You need to see it with at least 10 people in the room with you.
At least.
Because otherwise it's not fun.
It's a communal experience. He said he had never heard so many people say WTF in his life.
Yeah, a lot of WTFs in the theater that night.
That's honestly how I sold. I remember, pitching this movie. I would use that theory. Like, horror is an experience. Because, obviously investors don't want to make a movie that's going to go, quote unquote, straight to VOD. And the term of straight to VOD is being redefined.
Exactly
as we're talking right now. But I definitely use that logic when pitching this movie, that the horror movies, they should be a fun, thrilling ride, like going to an amusement park that you do with your friends. Like, not many people go to an amusement park alone, because you want to do it with your friends. And horror movies are that exact same experience, because you're going to be so much more scared and feel that energy and that adrenaline if the person next to you is feeling it, and the people in front of you and behind you. And so it does make it so much more fun of an experience. I absolutely do agree. And also, like, just the experience of a theater really is very difficult to replicate, the sound and obviously the visuals in your home. But, I think that I don't think theaters are going to go anywhere. It's just they're going to be designed for movies like that.
Right.
Like, only movies where we have that kind of experience will be ones that are in theaters. Like the Marvel movies.
Yeah, but you brought up something else that I had not considered, and that's the other side of this coin. And that is the importance of, or the ability to deliver a movie that has a very significant social message and an empathic message, if you will. And maybe those are the kind of movies that are better served watching them in your own home, because perhaps if you're trying to deliver a message, maybe if you're in the comfort of your own home, maybe your own psychological barriers are down. And you might be more receptive to such a thing as opposed to being in a theater. I remember some years back, Keith and I were at a screening for a movie. I think that the title was called Boy Disappeared. Oh, shoot. I can't remember the name of the movie. But it was about a young gay man who had to go through Christian
Boy Erased.
Boy Erased, thank you. He had to go through Christian reprogramming. And what was interesting is I was listening to the reactions, and there were a number of people that were not being receptive to the movie. Really? And I think maybe, and I didn't understand why. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it's because we were in a theater and seeing it that way, as opposed to seeing it in your own home, where now you're relaxed, you're allowed to really be yourself both inside and out. And now maybe you can be more receptive to a message that has a very specific tone that it's trying to, something very specific that it's trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think that people are, it's not going to, making movies with social messages obviously isn't anything new, but watching, but also, like, audiences have evolved over time, like, they can see through somebody trying to hit the nail on the head with a social issue so much easier now than they could 5 years ago, purely because of social media. And social media has really just changed the way audiences psychologically receive material. Like, they can't sit still as long. Like, even myself, like, and I'm not lying, one of the deterrents of going to the theater is I always have to pee. And I hate that I have to get up, I have to, in the dark, like, I always try to, like, so, like, when I go to theater, I want to make sure and have an aisle seat so I'm not bothering people. I've been in a scenario where I had got up to pee, and when I came back, I couldn't find my freaking seat. So I sat on a I did it once, that was one. I sat on a step, I sat on a chair, or I sat on the aisle steps the rest of the movie. It was actually Hatchet 4. And so, there are so many things that I think that people are used to doing in the comfort of their own homes nowadays, purely because of social media and consuming media, that it just psychologically makes them more comfortable and more receptive to what they're watching if they're in their own home.
Right.
Yeah, and that take
Well, we do that. We sit with remote in hand.
Yeah. Oh, we do frequently.
You got to go to the bathroom. You can pause it. You don't have to worry about missing anything.
Yeah, and we also stop and we talk about stuff.
We talk about movies. I mean, because we really are just geeks in the worst way. So we're always pausing and saying, "I noticed," or "I saw," or
"Hey, wait a minute. I'm the big continuity person." It's like, whoa, stop. That's driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Run it back. Continuity error.
I talk. I have to be told to shut up when I watch movies.
I'm kind of.
We're both that way too.
Yeah. But the other thing that really bothered, not to go completely off the track, but I remember some years back, quite a few years back, Keith and I were in the theater seeing The Matrix 2, and here's a rated R movie, and there's kids running all over the freaking theater. And I was like, okay, people, home. Thank you very much. So, there's something very nice about being able to, watch a movie in our recliners, and we have all the junk food we could possibly want if we want to. I mean, we're old.
You have to pay $20 for, a bag of gummy bears.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. So, there's something to be said about the experience. But at the same time, I think depending on the nature of the film determines what avenue is best suited. Be it watching at home or watching it in a theater. So going back to Initiaion, now you started this off as a short. Did you? But I also heard you say feature. Does that mean you actually expanded this film to feature length?
Yeah. So Dembanger was the short, and actually the movie was called Dembanger when it got into South by Southwest last year. Even it wasn't changed to Initiaion until it was acquired by Saban less than a year. It was last summer that the name was changed to Initiaion. And so the feature. I wrote the feature in one of my final semesters of grad school, and I wrote it by myself, and then. Brian Frager, I went to grad school with him. We were at USC together. He started co-writing with me. And, originally the movie was, like I said, like privacy settings, people finding you online. But, the movie Unfriended came out and really dealt with things in a similar fashion that we were planning. And so what it told me was like our idea was good. It told me we have a good idea. And obviously I felt like, when I graduated USC, I was lucky enough to get a lot of work working with different nonprofits on how to make movies with social messages.
Oh, cool.
And so I felt like I was really kind of building a craft to be able to steer the message. And I do remember at an early stage, we definitely, changed it and steered it more towards the college, vibe. And it really just evolved over time. And I would say we were so close to production in 2017, and it all ended up, falling through as, the world of independent filmmaking. That always happens at one point or another. And the Me Too movement happened. And the Me Too movement was a really poignant moment for us because we all needed to take a step back from the script and rewrite it. Because originally it was sort of a reveal that a character had been sexually assaulted, and we found that reveal was not going to have near the impact that it would have a few years ago. It would have been a joke to audiences nowadays. You go to SNL, people are making fun of stuff like that. So we really had to be clever and rewrite the script in a way that integrated, what it's like to be in that world and, deal with sexual assault in a university setting, and try to portray it as accurately as possible without hitting the nail on the head.
Right. So I want to jump back to two things real quickly. Number one, you said that you made your first film. Did you make that with a camcorder or?
Yeah, it was a high cam tapes. Yeah.
Okay.
That was 2001. So it was,
Yeah, so I grew up with Super 8. So
but
that's even longer.
Yeah, we're old.
Right? You're talking film Super 8, right?
Yeah, exactly.
We are old.
Yeah,
I'm putting it out there.
I had to do analog. It was analog. So to edit, because it was also digital editing, so it was like you had this converter that you'd plug your camcorder into that would, with an RCA cable, with a DVR cable. It was a whole process too.
Yeah, well,
kids don't know how lucky they have it.
I'm an old film, black and white film nerd, so medium format and,
Yeah,
and large format.
Think
Anyway.
Ingmar Bergman.
No, just Ansel Adams.
Oh, Ansel Adams. Well, but Ansel Adams, he didn't make motion pictures. Ingmar Bergman did.
And the other thing is, in your little director statement, I found it interesting that your parents didn't know what to do with you, and they realized they couldn't stop you, so you were either going to be a serial killer or a director of horror films.
Yeah. Well, my mom told me that as an adult. I remember her saying that to me, and I thought that was actually kind of funny, because that was really, I was really all around not. I was a good kid, meaning like I didn't get myself into trouble, and I think that was because I had these movies that gave me satisfaction to make.
You had an outlet.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had that outlet, and so the battle that I fought with my parents was seeing R-rated movies because I saw Scream at like 11 years old,
right?
And I was just so fascinated with violence. I had never seen it like that before, and I grew up Catholic, so I was obviously introduced to violence at an extremely young age, just in kind of a different way.
Right.
And I remember going to Sunday school trying to talk about Scream and compare Drew Barrymore hanging from the tree to Jesus on the cross, and I was told that was super inappropriate, but I didn't understand why.
Right.
I didn't understand how it was okay for me to talk about, or some fairy tale, in a Bible and idolize it versus like a movie, that has more relevance to my life now. It just didn't make any sense to me.
Right.
And so my parents definitely tried to censor me from it. And I think it's also just because, they saw it scared the hell out of me. Like I couldn't sleep. So They were good parents in doing that. But I think that, if you're a parent and your kid's obsessed with violent movies and wants to watch them hear him talking with his friends about wanting to see a movie only because of the amount of blood that's in it, your parents, you obviously got to kind of think, okay, how can I steer this kid to make sure he's able to achieve his goals?
Exactly.
Yeah, actually, and a credit to your parents. I mean, okay, let's not deny them. Let's just find a way to steer it in a more constructive, sort of healthier way. So,
exactly. Yeah.
I think that definitely works. So, John,
and don't get me wrong. I wasn't looking to cut. I wasn't looking to do anything violent. I think every human has the same reaction, or has a visceral or some kind of reaction to seeing violence for the first time. And it's really important for parents to be able to understand how to steer a child, when they are exposed to that kind of violence at a young age, which, to be perfectly honest, is happening at younger and younger ages nowadays, and it's not coming from film and TV. It's coming from the news. It's coming from our phones.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So better to steer them in a healthy way. Otherwise, your child shall be named Dexter.
Exactly.
So, having said that, John, it's been wonderful chatting with you. This has been a great conversation, and I definitely hope to have you on the show again in the future. But in the meantime, if people want to learn more about you or follow you on social media, is there any do you have a website, or is there any social media presence that you have by which people can follow you and stalk you?
Yes, you can stalk me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is just my name, John Berardo, at John Berardo. And also the movie, at Initiaion Film. I've got to give that a plug just because, the movie is me in so many ways. So I feel like, Instagram, stalk away.
Cool.
Fantastic.
Well, this has been really great. Thank you for being on our show this time.
Thank you for having me. This is a lot of fun.
You don't need to hear their identification. They're the Two Gay Geeks. They can go about their business. Move along.
Well, that was a fun...
It was a good one. Good chat.
Good chat.
Very good
John.
chat.
Yeah, and the things we have in common.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, there we go. The horror that is Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's turning into the gift that keeps on giving.
Exactly.
I mean, you, Larry Nemeczek, David Slayton, oh my God.
Yep, and all of those. And here's a few selected birthdays for May 3rd through May 9th, 2021. May 3rd, Ann B. Davis, actress, Brady Bunch.
Alice,
yep. And Steven Weinberg, he's a theoretical physicist. He has research into the unification of the weak force and electromagnetism. He's also featured in Brian Greene's Elegant Universe. He was University of Austin. And then we have Ron Popeil, huckster extraordinaire. Oh my God.
Okay.
Ron Popeil had everything. He was probably the first person with the infomercials. The Popeil Pocket Fisherman.
Oh, I remember that.
All of those crazy things that my grandparents,
I remember that. Yeah.
sent away for, and everything was COD, because,
Right.
Or you send a check to them or whatever, But his birthday today, and then Betty Comden, writer, singer, or songwriter, with Adolph Green. They did they did Singing in the Rain and many other things. They worked for 60 years to work together for 60 years.
Yeah, they were.
Everybody thought they were married.
I know, everybody did. But they really were a Hollywood institution for that time. That and that's towards the end of the glamour era, I think, of Hollywood.
Yep. And then we have Zoe de Grand Maison, a friend of ours.
Oh, yes. Morning After.
Yes. May 4th, Audrey Hepburn.
Oh, my God.
Actress, what do you say?
Goddess.
Always fabulous. Breakfast at Tiffany's, My Fair Lady, Roman Holiday. Her mother was of Dutch nobility. That was why Rex Harrison didn't want to work with her, because he wanted somebody that had not been around all of the nobility and all of that.
He wanted someone who could really come off as a street person.
Yeah, but and since she had been around that all of her life,
Wow,
and then she turned in a
I didn't
fabulous
know that.
performance.
I didn't know that. And there they are at the embassy ball.
Yep, exactly.
And she comes off
as
nobility.
Exactly.
I mean, my God.
Was.
Imagine that. I had no idea.
Yep. And then we have Keith Haring, artist. He was a pop artist who emerged from the New York City graffiti subculture, and he's also known as the creator for the National Coming Out Day art. That was his artwork. That National Coming Out Day, the guy.
Oh, the guy kicking out of the closet.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And then Lance Bass, singer, actor. Oh my gosh, jack of all trades.
Yeah,
he said.
He's really become
out gay man, part of the group NSYNC.
Now OutSync.
OutSync, yes. And Howard Da Silva, actor, primarily known for portraying Benjamin Franklin.
Ben Franklin. That's how I remember him best.
In 1776.
But I think for a lot of people, especially if you were introduced to the classic Doctor Who, watching it on PBS. He's the one who gave the voice narration when you're watching it weekly. He would give the voice narration saying, this is what the Doctor went through, blah, blah, blah. That was Howard Da Silva.
Oh, interesting. Fascinating. May 5th, Henry Cavill, actor. Superman, Man from U.N.C.L.E., which we just watched last night.
I had no idea.
That was strange.
Wow, that's a good timing.
Yeah. And it was here watching the little...
What, the featurettes?
Featurettes, yeah. It was weird to hear him speak in his native accent.
I know, because we normally hear him speak as an American.
Yep.
I know.
Yep. And then John Rhys Davies, actor, dramedy to comedy to action. Oh, did I say dramedy?
Dramedy.
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I did until I finished that. I thought, something's wrong with what I said there.
The rhythm is off.
Drama to comedy to action. Victor Victoria. He was, oh my gosh, he was wonderful in that. Indiana Jones.
Nice. But I think Indiana Jones is where everybody started to really know who he was.
Exactly. And then Lord of the Rings.
Oh my God, which he hated doing.
Yeah.
But he was wonderful as Gimli.
And Michael Palin of Monty Python fame.
I think I'm not sure which one, who's my favorite? I don't know. I love Michael Palin.
Yeah.
I mean, I think some of the skits he did for Python were hilarious.
Yep. And Lance Henriksen.
Oh, my.
My gosh. Quite the working actor. 259 acting credits in IMDb, including like 5 or 6 things in some form of production at the moment.
He's a really interesting actor. He's normally known for playing just the darkest of roles.
Yep. And then Roger Rees, actor in The West Wing, Warehouse 13. And James Beard, chef, a gay man who didn't officially come out until just a few years before his death at the age of 81. He was a friend of Julia Child who spoke quite fondly of him and helped establish the James Beard Foundation. Mm-hmm. Then Peter Rodriguez, friend of ours from Joshua Tree. He actually has been living with HIV and AIDS since 1982, I think.
Holy smokes.
He was like patient number 97.
And he's the fact that he was able to hold on long enough for the present rounds of medication.
Exactly.
I'm sure, because I know that's what's keeping him going now. But how he managed to survive that long is amazing.
Yeah, a friend of ours. He's Joshua Tree. He did all kinds of activism back in Brooklyn, where he grew up, and then moved here to Phoenix, and is quite the activist and go-getter at this point in the HIV/AIDS community here in Arizona. And then Karen Strong Black.
Dear friend of mine from high school. I adore her. We sang in choir together. She's married to Don Black, another fellow student, and she does some really good, at least since the Great Pause has begun. She's been doing some really interesting Facebook Live.
Yeah, with her sister, the two sister cooking with two sisters or something.
It's really cute.
It's really great. And then our nephew, Andy Hill.
Andy, happy birthday, Andy.
May 6th, Adrienne Palicki, actress, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Orville. And Adriana Caselotti. You recognize the name?
It's familiar.
Singer. She was the voice of Snow White.
Ah.
Yes.
Okay.
She grew up in a family. Her father taught music in New York City, and her mother was an opera singer and was one of Maria Callas' first vocal teachers.
No kidding.
Yeah. And Rudolph Valentino, actor of the early days of Hollywood, was the first male sex symbol.
Yeah.
Actually died at age of 31 in 1926.
He died in not very good circumstances, if I recall correctly.
It was actually from an infection from a surgery that he had. It was really strange.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, medicine wasn't all that great
Who
back
knows?
then.
And then good friend of ours, Brian Brown.
Oh, happy birthday, Brian.
And Randy Corman.
Oh, my God, Randy.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Randy.
May 7th, Johannes Brahms, composer, wrote some really great piano music and some other things. Thank God he didn't try to write opera.
Oh, I know. I mean, I remember when I sang his Requiem. And by the time I was done with that, I was just spent.
Yep. And Anne Baxter, actress. Moses.
Yes.
Nefertiti and Ten Commandments. Quite the star. Oh my gosh, going way, way back. I mean, the credits are incredible. She was also the granddaughter of Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh, you know, I think I heard that somewhere.
Yeah. Darren McGavin, actor, gravelly voice.
Oh, yes.
Kolchak.
Yeah.
It's a major award.
Fragile. It's Italian.
It's Italian. David Tomlinson, actor, a staple of Walt Disney films.
Yeah.
Mary Poppins and
Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Bedknobs and Broomknobs and all of that.
I also think he was in the Three Lives of Thomasina. I think he was in that one as well, which oddly enough featured the two kids from Mary Poppins as well.
And Daniel DeGrotto, friend of ours, Facebook friend of ours, who's a film director. And Beth Accomando, who's
happy
with
birthday, Beth.
KPBS in San Diego. And also,
thanks to her, she's been very helpful to Neil Halford, Neil and Jaina in their Swords and Circusry production. Circusry,
yes.
Circusry, yeah.
Well, sometimes it is a circus.
Sometimes it feels like... No, that's us. We're the Circusry.
Yes.
Swords and Circuitry Productions.
May 8th, Stephen Amell, actor, Arrow, owner of a winery.
Oh, yeah.
And a cancer activist.
Quite.
And Stephen Furst, actor, director, Veer in Babylon 5.
Yeah.
A funny story about his audition for Veer.
Yeah. Well, you can find it on YouTube.
Yep.
All you got to do is look up like Babylon 5 Phoenix Creation Con or Phoenix Comic Con.
Yeah.
And because he did that at our panel.
Yeah, he talks about how all the other candidates showed up with their hair up in Centauri fashion, and he ran into the bathroom, looked the soap dispenser, and tried to...
Got it all in his eyes, and he came in and just started blithering away, and they said, he's our Veer.
Oh my God, it's Veer. He didn't even have to read for the part.
No, he didn't.
And then Hiro Arakawa, a manga artist. She is best known for her Full Metal Alchemist. And friend of ours, Eric Choate. May 9th, Rosario Dawson, actress. Yes. She played Claire Temple in many of the Marvel Netflix series.
Night Nurse.
And she is going to be...
Ahsoka Tano. I know.
Yes.
I was hoping that they would manage to find a way to fold her character from the Netflix shows into the current MCU. Yeah. But I'm just happy knowing that she's playing Ahsoka because she was so awesome in The Mandalorian that one time.
Yep. And Billy Joel, the piano man.
Yeah.
Howard Carter, archaeologist, famous for his discovery of the intact tomb of Tutankhamun. Mm-hmm. And Anne-Sophie von Otter, Swedish opera singer. Yes. She was in the Rosenkavalier. That Rosenkavalier. Oh, my God. Incredible singer and actress. And that's it for the birthdays this time.
Hey everybody, did you know that the first season of Pop and Fizz is now up for you to listen to on your favorite podcast channel, Hamish?
No, I didn't.
And did you know that Pop and Fizz is hosted by Beck, that's me, and by Hamish, that's you, right?
That's me, oh.
What is Pop and Fizz? Could you tell us?
Well, it's a movie podcast. I mean, you've never heard of one of those.
There's none.
No, none.
First one.
But now this is a movie podcast about movies that we just can't forget. Cult, strange, the weird movies that we wish we
could. Some movies that we don't think actually exist, but do.
That's right. And radio plays that you and I have written. All right, so season 1 is available right now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google.
Go give a listen to Beck and our very own Hamish Downey over at Pop and Fizz Podcast.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
We want to give a shout out, as always, to the Joshua Tree Feeding Program. They're a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for the HIV and AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. And several of our good friends happen to be involved with that and kind of run that. Peter, as we talked about, Rodriguez, and Joseph Gaxiola, and several others. And they have they've set that up, and it's been going for 30 some odd years now.
Yeah.
And they set it up as a store so that the clients can pick and choose what they want from the little store that they have set up, fresh produce and breads and canned goods and all kinds of stuff that they could possibly want. And they choose what they want, so no food is wasted. They don't give them just a box of stuff and say, here you go. They also have a pet assistance project so that they can get pet food and some things for their pets, as well as they have supplements that they have a nurse practitioner that comes in, I believe.
Once a week, I think.
Looks at the things that they have and that they've been given for various supplements, and counsels the clients on what they can take with the medication that they're taking. And they're an all-volunteer organization. They run, it's all nonprofit, at very little overhead. However, the overhead that they do have comes from donations.
Yeah.
And if you would like to support Joshua Tree, either through a single gift or a monthly recurring gift, you may also consider doing a Pearl membership of $30 a month. And you can do that by going to jtfp.org.
And it's time for our feedback, and each of these items that generated this feedback will be featured in the show notes for this episode number 324 at tggeeks.com. And before we start, I have to clarify that the first three they fell through the cracks.
Oops.
Well, part of the problem is that when there was a big OS update, my method of categorizing feedback emails completely broke. And for that reason, I wasn't able to find these things until this very morning. So I'm covering them now, starting with regarding TG Geeks episode number 311. Based on that, I can only assume we were probably talking to Katie Edwards.
Yeah.
And we got a comment from Brandon Young. This is how Brandon and I actually became friends on Facebook, because it says, I love the tarot sequence. Love, 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 love. That's how, Brandon and I became friends over tarot. Moving on, regarding episode 312, and here's where we interviewed David Slayton, and Hamish Downey says, wow, that photo looks very Ewan McGregor-esque. So you hear that, David? You look like Ewan McGregor. That's a good one. Moving on, regarding TG Geeks episode number 313, got a comment from Corey Lynn Nelson, and she says, starting my day off right with one of my favorite podcasts.
Yay,
yeah, she really is. I mean, she's one of like 3 regular listeners that we know of. that we know of,
yes.
Yes. Moving on, regarding Nerdy Chupacabras number 35, got a comment from Hamish Downey, who simply says, ha, ha, ha.
I don't know what 35
I
was.
don't remember. I didn't bother to look it up, but but he was sincere. He's not being sarcastic.
No.
Hamish really did find it very funny.
Please check out on Sundays the Nerdy Chupacabras. It's our Sunday funnies, and Tommy Cannon does a fabulous job at that. And it sometimes it's a lot of dad jokes, but it's funny stuff.
It's still very funny stuff. And I just want to take a quick little tiny detour. How I remember a couple of years ago we were at Phoenix Fan Fest, or the Phoenix Coco Con, and there was a little artist contest going on.
Oh, yeah.
And Tommy came in kind of like at the 11th hour to take part, and he ended up winning.
Yeah.
He was so good in it. I mean, he's really a very talented artist.
Yep.
So then, moving on, regarding TG Geeks episode number 318, first got a comment from Becky Duff Rippey. She says, good interview. I don't remember who we were interviewing.
318, not a clue.
I can't remember. And, Tom Hurd.
Ah.
That's who. And then got a comment from Angela Joseph. She says, thank you for the birthday shout out. This is a big one for me. Have a fabulous week. And then got a comment. I like this one from James Spring. He says, thank you for the shout out and a new podcast to listen to.
Yay.
Hey, now we know of 4.
Yeah. At least he listened to one.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping he's listening. I hope we didn't scare him away like we've done so many times. Moving on, regarding Tom Hurd's Getting It, available for streaming. And then got a comment from Tom Hurd. He says, thank you so very much. That was his movie. And then nice little dialogue going on here. We close it off with Hamish Downey's New Sushi number 113, Morsels of News from Japan and Beyond. Hamish interviewed Johnny Pujols, and Johnny says, oh, great. I think it's featuring that wonderful drawing of the genie Swen from my Jode series by Hamish. Thank you for loving the story, too. Hamish came back with, I'm enjoying the series, especially the action scenes. Hopefully, I'll be able to do more fan art soon. And Johnny responded finally saying, Hamish, I'd be very honored. And that is our feedback.
That's our feedback. And if you want to leave a comment, just as these folks have done, you can do that on our Facebook page. You can comment on each of the episodes or articles that we run. You can also do that on our website at tggeeks.com, as well as on our YouTube episodes for the episodes, and on Twitter and Instagram, where we have presence on all of those. As well as...
Hey,
how many times can I say as well as?
I know. Not enough, it seems.
Not enough. We have a listener feedback line. You can call and leave us a voicemail, and we'll play it on air. That's call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone. Well, as everybody knows, we are huge supporters of independent creators, whether it's filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others. We want you to support them. We try to support them. We were just cleaning out the office area today, and we found all these books. It's like I cleaned out a whole closet and filled a whole shelf with books and things that we have supported various writers and comic book artists. If you want to support them, go to their Facebook pages, their Etsy pages, their web pages, their Instagram, Twitter, wherever you can find them, and take a look at their stuff. Talk to them about their stuff. Talk to other people about their stuff. And more importantly, buy their stuff. Please consider supporting independent creators.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
So
why is the script blank?
Because I really couldn't think of anything. I mean, we were so busy, kind of completely doing this excavation in the hellmouth that I didn't think about the second segment.
Yeah.
Although it did occur to me, since we did mention Henry Cavill's birthday.
Yeah.
We could talk about The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
We did rewatch The Man from U.N.C.L.E. last night. What a fabulous film.
It really is an amazing
Guy
movie.
Ritchie really did a great job with that. I mean, he did justice to The Man from U.N.C.L.E. He did justice to that 60s mystique.
Oh
my God. The people that he put together, the cinematographer, the
production designer, the
wardrobe.
Yeah,
oh my
all
God.
of it. I mean,
all of it.
Well,
it was just
Guy Ritchie has a reputation when it comes to movies, because you kept hearing comments from the actors and everybody else saying, it's a Guy Ritchie movie, I want to work on it. Because he creates a really great, creative, and collaborative atmosphere. So I think what ended up happening is that he was able to draw all this amazing talent when it came to working on the movie. And I'm so glad he did, because the thing that I love most about this movie. Okay, I love Henry and I love Armie Hammer as Kuryakin.
Yes,
but
they were both.
They are
just
amazing,
incredible.
and to be honest, they're both just lovely eye candy.
Yeah,
they really
are.
are. I mean, Henry and Armie are just two beautiful looking people.
Yeah.
So there's that. But as you said earlier, it's this total tip of the hat and love letter to the 60s.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The colors chosen.
They pop.
To hear them talk about the one production designer talking about they wanted it to have the correct automobiles, and they found most of the automobiles, well, besides the collector's pieces that they used, that they just filmed in there, but the things that they found, and they were junkyard finds, and they literally
they
restored
them.
completely.
It's amazing,
was just unbelievable.
And what I the sets were incredible. The props were amazing. I want that phone. I swear to God, I want that telephone that lady has, because it's so gorgeous. And again, the wardrobe. I mean, they picked the perfect outfits for these people, especially the women.
Yep.
I mean, this movie is pure eye candy. It really is all over the place.
Several of Henry Cavill's suits are just. I love that blue check. I think I have one very similar to that, and that's why I chose that suit myself.
I've got one very similar. It doesn't quite pop the way he does, but the way he wears it with that nice vest, and that sky blue, that light blue shirt that he wears underneath, I'm like, oh my God, that looks stunning.
Yep.
I mean, it's a fabulous movie. If you haven't checked out The Man from U.N.C.L.E. by Guy Ritchie, please, by all means, do it. You can find it anywhere.
It would be worth your while.
And it's time for our weekly review. These are the items that we ran on our website at tggeeks.com, and the links for each of these news items will be in the show notes for this episode article number 324 at tggeeks.com. Starting with Sunday, April 25th, Nudie Chupacabras number 40. Nudie.
Nudie.
Yeah, they're nudie chupacabras. Well, they don't wear clothes.
Well, they don't. No,
they don't wear clothes.
Nerdy
chupacabras number 45. On Monday the 26th, TG Geeks episode Nudie number 23. See, you got me going. I can't stop now.
Well, you never know. We might be recording in the nude.
Oh dear. Yeah, but it will not be with any cameras. Rest assured. On Tuesday the 27th, Ballet Arizona and Arizona Opera partner in bringing students music movement breaks. That, I think, is totally awesome.
It's incredible.
For Arizona residents. Yep. Actually, I think if you're interested in ballet and and opera, as well as education for kids, check that article out. You will not be sorry. Moving on, starting on Wednesday the 28th, Andrea's Angle, Limbo, is wry and poignant. She loved it. On the other hand, on Thursday the 29th, Andrea's Angle, without remorse, delivers a stale story, but with emotional acting. My friend Kevin Anderson, the author who lives in Colorado, just saw it, and he did not have anything nice to say. Moving on, Friday the 30th, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Ace Artemis. She's a fabulous artist.
Yes.
And then we close it off Saturday, May the 1st. Ben's Breakdown, Justice Society World War II, is a modern look into the past. That is WB Home Entertainment's latest animated feature. And that's it.
And you can find that also on Amazon Prime, right?
It is available on Amazon Prime. I put that in the review.
Yep.
Have a couple of shout-outs that we need to make. First, to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News for republishing our content from time to time. It is put out by the human Arkle. You can find him by searching Arkle, at ARKLE, and of course that's how you'll find the Post-Dispatch News. And while you're searching for all things Arkle, please check out his YouTube channel. You will not be sorry. He's got a lot of things going on there all the time. He has his Shameless Cash Grab series, his Rants vs. Zombie series, which, yes, it has ended, but you can always look at it again. So what's stopping you? Also his game videos of Trick and Treat, as well as Star Trek Online. We must also give some shout-outs to a couple of Facebook groups for allowing us to post our episodes and relevant articles on their pages. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours, who literally said we could share away our content there. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for allowing us to share everything there that we wish. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And as always, we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. The other places we can be found, besides iTunes, is Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Amazon Podcasts, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found.
You say Amazon?
Amazon.
As opposed to Amazeven.
Amazeven. Yeah. There.
Adele Mazim.
I got lost. Where am I?
Adele Mazim.
Adele Dazeem, yes. Adele Dazeem Podcasts.
Thank you, John Travolta.
Yes, as well as on Sci-Fi Radio, formerly Krypton Radio. They do a replay of our podcast at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Tuesdays. Listen to their other content. They are a 24-hour geeky sci-fi internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can get ahead of Arkle again.
Yeah.
And that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We're going to have several links on the page of things that we talked about. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG Geeks. That is 469-844-3357 from TG Squared Studios. I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Take care of yourself. Stay home. Stay safe. Wear a mask. Get vaccinated. Peace.
Cheers, baby.